So Democrats are now facing a blue-collar revolt that could further crush them at the ballot box. The New York Times reports this. These are the voters who should scare Democrats most. They talked to working-class folks, some Biden voters in 2020 who flipped to Trump. They were fed up with the party's obsession with identity politics. One trucker puts it bluntly, quote, "It seemed like they were more concerned with DEI and LGBTQ issues and really just things that didn't pertain to me or concern me at all. They weren't concerned with really kitchen table issues." And after years of loyally backing Democrats, the Teamsters Union reportedly donating to battleground Republicans in the upcoming midterms. Even Bernie's waving the warning flag.
And we have got to understand that the Democratic Party, in many, many respects, has turned its back on the working class of this country. And if Democrats want to win elections, they're going to have to stop taking money from billionaires and start responding to the needs of working people.
You know, Harold, Bernie actually refused to meet with the Teamsters, which I think shows it's not necessarily about politics, but about power, possibly. And it is this divide between the Democrats and working class voters could get worse if Mamdani wins, because his biggest supporters are affluent white liberals and not the working class.
Well, a couple of things. I think we can come to the Mamdani race in one moment. Sanders and Mamdani are one of a kind. They endorse each other, support each other. Elizabeth Warren as well. So they come from a side of the party that believes, or not my side of the party. And Mamdani is actually a socialist. So I don't consider him a Democrat. Two, in my lifetime, there have been two major realignments of the political party system. One was in '92 when Bill Clinton won. Democrats had not won in a while. He had a different message. He was different on some of the social issues, including capital punishment. He was even different a little bit on the abortion issue. He was against late-term abortions. In my lifetime, I'm 55, the first time a national Democrat had spoken like that. He then gets to office 4 years later, 5 years later. The first time the government had been balanced, the budget had been balanced at the federal level in 30 years. It still hasn't been balanced since. And then 2016, President Trump, what he was able to do in upending the way working class voters thought about the Republican Party, in the way even minority groups, which have traditionally gone for Democrats, how they thought about the Republican Party. As we sit here today, Democrats still haven't gotten the right message. They seem to be more cathartic than strategic in their thinking about how to go forward. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually offered ideas? I had some time one Saturday night, listened to an interview that Bernie Sanders had. I watched some of his rally in West Virginia. I was clearly didn't have a lot to do for a little bit on Saturday. But it was interesting because I listened, and a lot of the things he said I agreed with in terms of his diagnosing of the challenges. But his answers, he didn't really seem to have any answers. A lot of it, when it came time, I thought give answers, he just criticized President Trump. I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if Democrats would encourage administration to provide, since they want to shut the Department of Education, say instead of doing that, let's provide more funding for cities and states that are doing reform things, innovative things. You've talked about some of the things in the past, including the state of Mississippi, which is doing remarkable things around K through 12 education. Cities that are doing things in the charter school space, even in the voucher space that's working. Let's reward those things that are working. Two, the biggest challenge, and one of the reasons that Mamdani's doing well here in New York, is that he's talking about affordability and housing affordability. Why not give first-time home buyers who qualified, who are actually eligible, who have the income, give them bigger down payment assistance, and let's give them bigger tax breaks to be able to own a home. President Trump said no taxes on tips and overtime. I kind of like the instinct, but the real thing ought to be to help everybody that's earning $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year, a little less. The first $50,000 of income should be tax-free for every American. Mm-hmm. That's what Democrats ought to be offering. The only way we're going to get back this group of voters and make this thing more competitive and have a chance to win again is if we stop attacking Trump and start addressing and listening to voters. It's a very simple thing. It's happened for now. We'll celebrate 250 years next year. Every politician that's ever won has actually listened to voters and tried to respond to their needs and aspirations. And we're not doing a good job of that right now.
Joey, I'm often reminded of this one time in 2015 or 16, right around when President Trump was running, he had a rally. And he says, this country is dying because of political correctness. And he gets this huge standing ovation. And it was one of those times where I thought, oh, he's tapping into something that has played out even to this day, to the point that now you have corporations relieved that they can get rid of their DEI programs. That universities are finally being brought back to some common sense. And I do think that that whole DEI woke agenda really did alienate workers in addition to the economics.
Sure it did. Yeah. I mean, you think about blue collar workers. When I hear that, I guess I think about like Midwesterners that are diehard, dyed-in-the-wool union workers, conservative in their home, and have supported Democrat candidates over the years because of the Democrat strong stranglehold on unions. And I think that's one of the places where President Trump has really flipped the script. I mean, when you look at Democrats from policy, not just from the things they say, but from their policy, they've abandoned the assembly line for the disability line. They've abandoned those struggling to get ahead in life for those that are unwilling to get in line to begin with. They've abandoned Americans and imported their own voters. I mean, those are the policies they've supported at least over the last 10 years. What is so ironic about all of this is Democrats still hold on to this idea that you can use your identity to connect to voters. I mean, you look at Scranton Joe, Mondami comes in and he talks about all these things and he doesn't really want you to know too much about his past or how he gets his rent. Donald Trump is a billionaire, Ivy educated from Manhattan, and he connects with people in these small towns, not because he uses his past or his background or his identity, but because he says the things they want to hear and does the things they want done. It really is that simple.
It is simple.
And I don't know why they won't, much like Harold, I don't know why Democrats want to take up some of those issues.
In the last 4 years, we talked a lot about the Democrats pushing forward on student loan forgiveness and climate change. And those were two main issues, I think, that alienated them from their workers.
I'm glad you brought that up, Dana.
thank you.
You know why? Because when you say blue collar, we think, who do you mean? It's more about who you aren't. You know, when you look at the Democrat Party, you don't see blue collar. You see the polar opposite, this ghastly experiment of identity extremism, luxury beliefs held together with rage speak and victimhood. Blue collar, it's not non-binary, trans, screaming about, the evils of white privilege and Gaza politics. They aren't blue collar, not spending their afternoons on TikTok or smoking weed at the park, demanding others to pay for their college loans. They work for a living. They raise families. When you look at it, I mean, it's funny. That's why the whole union thing seems so glaringly weird. Like, how is the union still there? Why are they still there? There's not a single issue that the Dems champion that resonates with, I'm going to say it, normal people. Party was hijacked by an unhinged, marginal, and mentally ill activist class. Friendless activists who see in their social media footprint power and status, nothing blue collar, nothing real about them. And now you have, I think Trump is somehow approaching the unions in a way that says it's okay to come here. The water's warm. Get away from these weirdos. They're not good for you. They don't care about you. And I've said it a million times, and I think, Harold, one day you're going to agree with me. I think that identity politics has done more to destroy the Democrat Party than anything because it reversed what we were about, the melting pot, which was about stressing unity over differences. And identity politics went the opposite direction. It leaned into the very thing that we were trying to escape, which was tribalism, tribes against tribes and in violence. And so what we did was we pitted groups against each other into some zero-sum game. And you basically get like a political cannibalism, where if I'm not high on this pyramid, I'm talking too much pyramid of being aggrieved, then you are, and you can't share. I'm going to shut up.
I don't know why you invoke my name. I don't disagree with you. I think identity politics.
I was just trying to get a rise out of you, Harold.
Let's give you the last word, Emily.
Well, I thought it was so telling. So the Teamsters General President, Sean O'Brien, he said that Bernie Sanders stopped talking to him. And he was being interviewed, and the host was like, when did he stop talking to you? And he said, it was when we did not formally endorse the Democrat Party. And it goes back to your earlier question of, it is not about politics at all. Because if it was, then Bernie Sanders, presidential candidate, would have sat down and said, why aren't you endorsing me? He cold-shouldered him because he took it personally, and it was about power. And that kind of hubris is what the Democrats have been to the table, which is an expectation. Oh, we are the automatic labor coalition. And the reason that they're so salty and they've taken such offense is because they thought they didn't have to earn it, that they just got it, right? They got those votes. When you look at where their money is going, the Teamsters PAC, the fact that they spread money to the NRCC, individual GOP House candidates across all of these battlefield states, not just white rural areas, but super urban, dense, multi-ethnic areas. and even the Republican Attorneys General Association. So the worst thing the Dems can do right now is get mad that they were broken up with and not listen to the reason why.
We'll see what they do. Okay, ahead, soft on crime insanity. A trans sex offender could soon be back out on the streets after allegedly trying to kidnap a Denver kid.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.